Oh, hello, it's me again. Don't know if I'm going to make much sense tonight. I can't say I had a very good Christmas, but it seems like every Christmas I get depressed. Sometimes I even end up with a nervous breakdown. I think it was different when my kids were younger and they spent Christmas with me and my partner. But the last 2 years it's just been me and him, and his hearing's getting worse. So it's frustrating because we can't really have a conversation. And I had a bath today. You might think, oh, well, that's nothing exciting. It is when you can't get out of the bath on your own. Luckily, I only have a bath now when my partner's around. So he can heave me, or is it heft or heave, or lift me out the bath by putting his hands under my armpits. He says, oh, you've got to lose some of that flab. He's right there. It's really difficult. I don't really eat a lot. I mean, I'm not one of these people that eats loads of cakes. And I mean, I'm an occasional cake eater, and I would only have one cake. Not a whole sponge cake to myself or anything like that. And bread, I don't eat much bread. 2 slices at the most in a whole day. A lot of the dinners, I only have a small portion of rice or pasta. Potatoes, I don't really like apart from mash. And we don't have it that often because he's not very keen on mash. Um, yeah, I try and eat more protein, but I'm not a protein lover really. I'm really a carb lover. The trouble with me is when I was young, I had such a small appetite. It started with depression, which I've had since I was 14. But after I had my son, I started to slowly slip into postnatal depression. But it got worse over another 3 months. Yeah, 3 months. And that's when I was hospitalised. But before I went into hospital, I couldn't eat. Just could not eat. Some days all I could eat was like half a packet of crisps. And my weight plunged to about 6.5 stone, when my average weight was about 7 stone something. So not a great deal of weight loss. But I was still very skinny. Like if I sat on a chair, hard chair, I didn't have any fat on my bottom. Anyway, they soon fed me up in hospital. Had to get weighed every day. I wasn't anorexic, I just didn't have an appetite. And then when I left hospital, well, the problem persisted. It persisted for years, actually. I did eat a bit more, though. I was surprised I didn't lose even more weight. I stayed at a steady 7 stone 4 for years. And I went to the doctor and said, look, I've got no appetite. Can't you just give me a pill? But I was a bit naive in those days. I thought they could just give me one pill so I wouldn't have to eat anything. I just didn't like food. And she gave me this violet, I think it was violet coloured liquid. It was called, oh, yes, it was, gentian violet, and it tasted foul. She said, drink that, I don't know, 2 or 3 times a day, and it might improve your appetite. Well, it didn't. I was a heavy smoker, well, still am. Actually, I was probably a lighter smoker in those days, only about 10 a day. Yeah, so I survived on cigarettes and coffee. And in those days I had milk, but I don't have milk in my coffee now, usually. Just can't really tolerate milk much anymore. I can tolerate dairy products, but not milk. Makes me feel queasy. Yeah, coffee with a splash of milk. I could tolerate. Sometimes black. Cigarettes. Chocolate bar, and mm, a very small dinner, tiny. And I remember I used to go and visit my parents, and they say, "Oh, you've got to eat more. You're so thin. You've got to eat more." And my partner would say that to me as well. They were all very worried about me. Then I decided to give up smoking. I was 34 then, so it's a long time from my early 20s to the age of 34. It was over 10 years that I was hardly eating anything. I stopped smoking. Guess what happened? I got an appetite, and I started eating what most people would call normal size portions. I wasn't gorging myself or anything, I was just eating properly. And in a week, I put on a stone. And in 2 weeks, I put on another stone. And then it stopped at that. So it's about 9 stone then. Yeah, but I don't want to talk about that really. Yeah, Christmas was boring this year, as it is every year. Um, wasn't it Oliver Cromwell who banned Christmas? Yeah, he did, didn't he? And it went on for quite a few years, about 6 years or something. But if you know, just put it in the comments below if you happen to watch this video. But in a way, I feel like doing that. In our house only, obviously. Christmas is banned. And the Christmas dinner is so boring. Honestly, he paid £35 for a organic rolled boned turkey crown. Alright, it tasted better than the normal ones we used to get from the supermarket. And I cooked it well. I usually cook the Christmas dinner well, don't know why. But I always cook the turkey first, because my timings are terrible. So I cook the turkey first and let it cool down. I don't cover it up like I used to, because when I used to cover it up a lot, it would go really dry. And then when you was cutting it, it was like sawdust. Oh. Anyway, it was cooked well. Got a meat thermometer. Really good idea. And I cooked parsnips, carrots, roast parsnips, carrots and Brussels sprouts, um, roast potatoes. They were frozen out of a bag, and gravy out of a jar. Turkey and cranberry gravy. And some stuffing I did in little trays. And they came out as perfect circles, flat circles. I like stuffing. And I'm not being rude, by the way. That's the best part of the meal, the parsnips and the stuffing and the gravy. I could have just ate those three things and left everything else. I'm not a big meat fan, as I've mentioned before. I had 2 slices of turkey and I only ate 1.5 slices. It's boring. It always gets cold between my teeth and the inner part of my mouth. It's horrible. And sometimes I end up with hamster pouches because I've got a problem with swallowing. I always have a very dry mouth. It's probably all the smoking I do. Oh yeah, I was looking at my hands earlier and they didn't look normal. Let me just look at them. Wait a minute. Yeah, it's more noticeable on this side now. Very red here. Actually, this one's gone back to normal. But earlier they were very red. Yeah. And you can still see it here. Yeah. I was wondering if that meant anything. if I've got some sort of illness or something. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. Still got the trapped nerve, but the pain today was very good. I mean, it wasn't hardly noticeable. It's just early in the mornings, really. Oh, that's torture. When I first wake up and he's in the bed and I've got no room to sort of manoeuvre to get out of the bed. So I was saying, Gary, oh, said his name again. I call him Morris from now on. Morris, get out of the bed. I've got no room to get out of the bed because I had to sort of turn around, shift around. And he wouldn't do it, so I started pushing him. I can't remember now if he actually got out of bed or he just helped me out of bed. But anyway, it's so painful. I only have to move my body a millimetre and the pain is unbearable. It's like I'm on a rack, if you can imagine that. And well, not my legs so much, but my back does hurt, my whole back. But in this arm, it just feels like it's been pulled out of the socket. Oh, agony. But thankfully, after a few minutes of just moving around a bit, it sort of goes away. Still there, but it's more manageable. Yeah, it varies. Some I have good days and I have bad days. The other thing about Christmas Day I didn't like is after all that cooking, I spent over 3 hours in the hot kitchen. It's a small kitchen, so it gets hot. I didn't have the sense to open a window though. That's what I'm like, bit thick. So I got hot, and then you lose your appetite when you've been cooking a meal. You often lose your appetite. It's different if someone cooks for you. You're more likely to have an appetite, aren't you? That's if it's cooked properly. Yeah, at the meal, I ate more than I thought I would eat, which I was surprised about, because usually I'd eat about half that amount. And I felt really, I could say stuffed again. I felt really full up, and I felt really tired, being in a hot kitchen for over 3 hours. There's no room for a table or a chair in there. It's tiny. So I went up to bed. I thought I'd just have a nap. I think I had about 2 hours sleep, something like that. When I woke up, I felt ghastly. I think I had a strange dream. I keep getting these strange dreams. They're really unsettling. I don't know why, but they are. And I was trying to think, what did it mean? It doesn't make, none of them make sense. I'm always in a place. Often it's like a communal place, maybe like a mental hospital. But it's like a house. The walls are always wooden. Never see any windows. And there's people in my dreams. Most of them are friendly, and some of them are a bit hostile. And I don't think I've ever met these people before in my life. And I'm thinking, am I dreaming about a different parallel dimension that I might be in? It's possible, isn't it? But the dreams never make any sense. Really, they're just bizarre. There's always loads of people around me. I've got loads of people to talk to, and I rather like that. I mean, I've lived in communities before. Well, rehabs. No, that's not a joke. It's not even funny. My sister lived in a kibbutz in Israel for about 6 months. I would have liked to have done that. And all I end up is in a rehab. There's something to boast about. Oh, what did you do on a CV? And what did you do for that year? Oh, I was in a rehab. Do you think I'll get the job? Oh, that's what I could do. I could be a substance abuse advisor. No, I don't think so. Not with my history. So now you know a little bit more about me. But saying that, I'm a nice person, I'm kind, I mean well, but I've made mistakes in my life that I regret. Um, I'm recovering with my, well, I've got a mental disorder. Don't really like talking about it. Still a lot of stigma attached to it. I will say I'm not a narcissist and I'm not a psychopath. So you might even be clever enough to find out what I've got. I've actually got 4 diagnoses. I could actually add 2 more to it. The more the merrier, as they say. I hope none of my family are watching this and feeling embarrassed because they've got nothing to be embarrassed about. I mean, you don't choose to have a mental illness or a substance abuse problem. I don't care what anyone says. There's people that really wind me up and say, oh, there's no such thing as mental illness. They're just odd or awkward, odd, or strange. That's nice, isn't it? Yeah, I read a book once, but they're always psychologists as well. Never psychiatrists, psychologists. I read a book by one bloke, and he said, no, there's no such thing as mental illness. They're just odd or awkward people or strange. I got really angry with that book. All right, I'll tell you what I have got. One of my diagnoses, the main one. It's called borderline personality disorder, and I'm not ashamed of having it. I got diagnosed that in 1989 when I thought I went in. Oh, at the same time, I was diagnosed with postnatal depression. They never told me about the borderline personality disorder. I found that out by accident about 10 years ago. Yeah, I went for a smear test. And I sat down with the nurse. I think she was taking my blood pressure. And on the computer screen, I saw emotionally unstable personality disorder, which is another word for BPD. Ah, you should have seen my reaction. I said, what's that written down there for? I haven't got that, I've got bipolar. Oh, she said, don't worry, it doesn't mean anything. I said, what do you mean it doesn't mean anything? And that was 19, I saw the date when I was diagnosed, 1989. I said, why wasn't I told earlier? I could have got treatment then. I didn't get anything. I only got substance abuse treatment. That was all. I was in a really bad mood when I found that out. I didn't really know much about it. I just thought it was something really bad. You know, you've got a disordered personality. I thought, this is it, my life's over. I don't get emotional when I think about that. Why didn't they tell me? But in a way, I was pleased I found out. Because then I started to understand myself. And I could go on the internet and find out more about it. And the sad thing is, there's still not a stigma attached to it. You know, these celebrities not long ago and bipolar, and by the way, I don't know when it was, they started to diagnose a lot of women got bipolar. They changed the diagnosis to borderline personality disorder for a reason, because they say it's not curable, BPD. You can't treat it, so they don't have to spend money on you treating you. That's why. So a lot of people, a lot of women mainly, who had formerly been diagnosed with bipolar, like me, or I was led to believe. Well, one psychiatrist did say I had bipolar, but it was never put on my notes, unfortunately. So I'm not really sure if I've got rapid cycling bipolar or borderline personality disorder. I'm not sure, or if I've got chronic post-traumatic stress disorder. It's one of those three anyway. They say, oh, labels don't matter, but I think if you know what you've got, you're more likely to sort of cope with it. Yeah, well, I'm not going to cry anymore, and I don't regret admitting that. I'm sure a lot of you watching it have got some sort of mental health problem. Isn't it 1 in 4 people get depression or suffer with a mental health problem at some point in their life? So I've got nothing to feel ashamed with. A lot of it has got to do with brain chemistry anyway. And I was a premature baby, and my mother believes I was, because when I was rushed from the maternity hospital to another hospital that had a special care baby unit, she believes that I was deprived of oxygen for a while and it may have affected my brain, which I think is a possibility because I was a strange child at times. When I was very young, I used to pull my hair out and rock myself to sleep, and I did that for years. That's not normal behaviour. Um, oh, in a way, I wish I hadn't started this video. I wanted it to be light-hearted. I mean, do you think YouTube will allow this video? Or they think it's too depressing? Do you think I'm wrong in admitting that I've got mental health problems? Do you think it's something I should keep like a secret? Um, maybe everyone's got a slight personality disorder or they're on the spectrum, just a bit like autism. I mean, you'd be surprised how many people are on the spectrum. There's no such thing as normal anyway, is there? I don't think there is. Would you want to be normal? You know, what is normal? Would that be like a robot? Or someone who never makes a mistake? Someone who's perfect all the time? No, I don't think there is a normal person on this planet. I think everyone has got problems to some degree. I mean, life's not easy, is it? It's horrible when you think about it, really. One thing is I'm a realist. I don't think being positive is that great. You're conning yourself, I think. I think it's better to be a realist. You know, they say, oh, just put a smile on your face and it'll make you happy. Or just think positive thoughts. That's recently been proved not to work. They say it's better just to be realistic and not expect too much from life. And that's what I am. I just try and, well, I live every day, like a day at a time. I live in the day. I don't worry too much about the day, tomorrow, the future, whatever. Um, and I just find things to do that I enjoy, even if it's just having a cup of tea and a cigarette. I know I'm doing wrong by smoking, and I'm not deluding myself. but it's something I enjoy, so I'd find it almost impossible to give up. Plus, I'd go probably even more mental and end up in a mental institution, which there aren't many around anymore, are there? It's ridiculous. I think that care in the community thing was rubbish. And in the past, if you was going through like depression or anxiety, something quite well, it is serious, very serious depression and anxiety. But even if you just had it mildly, that it was having an impact on your life and job or whatever, you could go into a mental hospital just for a break. But that stopped. I went to the doctors one time because I had depression for a whole year. And I said, "Oh, I'd love to go into the primary. It's private, but you can sometimes the NHS will pay for you go into a mental hospital because the unit that we've got now is too small, and it usually only takes people with psychosis. So, or if you're a danger, not so much to yourself anymore, it's more if you're a danger to someone else. So it's really difficult to get into a mental hospital now. Um, I said, can I go? Or any, yeah, I asked the doctor, can I go into the mental health unit? She said, what do you want to go in there for? I said, well, I've had this depression for months now. I just thought a change of environment and routine and rest might help me. And she said, no, you don't go in there now for rest anymore. I thought that was terrible because I remember in the late 80s, you'd go in there for a rest, go in there for months, you know. And I knew people that had been in there for months and they seemed normal. They were there for a rest and it worked. And they used to give people electroshock treatment and it helped a lot of people. I was offered it, but I was too frightened. I wasn't frightened of being electrocuted or anything. I was more frightened of the anesthesia because I got a fear of being put to sleep like that. Someone refused it, but maybe I should have had it. But I do know that some people have had it and turned out worse. So I really wasn't sure. And I heard something about in the past they used to put people in a diabetic coma if they had really bad depression. And I actually discussed it with one of the psychiatrists. I don't know if he was humouring me or anything, but he said I'll have a think about it. But I just think he just said that so I wouldn't get angry or something. But I know they don't do that now or in those days. I think they only did that for a little while in the 1950s. It's not a good idea, is it? Yeah, I mean, some people, they have intractable mental health problems. It can't be treated. And you have people that only have one episode of of mental illness. Like they might only have OCD after a bereavement, say, for a few months, and then it's gone forever. And it's often very common for people who've had a bereavement to develop anxiety, depression, OCD. That's quite normal. And obviously, women, after having babies, often get postnatal depression or the worst type, postnatal psychosis, and a lot of women now, this is quite a new thing. Well, it's not new, it's been around for a long time, it's just recently people have become aware of it. But a lot of women, when they're pregnant, develop a form of depression. So it's very common. And it's very common with a lot of different illnesses as well. It can often be the first sign of dementia and other illnesses. I mean, I'm not just talking about life-threatening illnesses, but things like lupus, multiple sclerosis, illnesses like that can bring on depression, mood swings, etc. I never thought this would turn into a lecture or a talk about depression. I was going to talk about jewellery. Can you believe that? Mm. You see this plastic box? I've got quite a lot of costume jewellery in there. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about the history of some of the pieces. It's costume jewellery, by the way, nothing expensive. So if you're a burglar, just walk past my house. I've got nothing worth stealing. I don't know if there's anything worth showing, really. I don't even know why I brought it down. Oh, there's one thing I'm going to do a story about. Not tonight, though. Too late. I just wanted to show you this pretty necklace. Yeah, can you see it? It's lovely, isn't it? Pity the chain is quite short, because it goes round my goiter and accentuates it. I'm going to hypnotise you. I'm feeling very sleepy. Your eyes are getting very heavy. The lids are starting to close. You're feeling very peaceful. You're lying on a very fluffy, furry rug, artificial thoughts. You're feeling that lovely soft fur underneath your skin. Your thoughts are becoming tangled, and you're seeing beautiful images of fairies and angels. Soon you will be fast asleep. When I count to 3, you will be in a different state. You will feel really, really peaceful and sleepy. 1, 2, 3. When I snap my fingers, you will wake up. Did you get hypnotised? Did you? If you did, let me know. Anyway, I'm going to tell you soon a story about this necklace. So you'll have to wait for that one. Yeah, I'm really sorry about the video. I didn't expect to cry or anything. I am quite an emotional person, obviously, emotionally unstable. But I think emotions are a good thing. You shouldn't hold in your emotions, it's really bad for you. If you feel angry, shout. If you feel like crying, cry. If you feel happy, laugh. And this is what I hate. If you start crying, people say, Why are you crying? That's not going to help. That's the worst thing you can say to anyone. If you're crying, there's always a reason. And crying does help. Because I've noticed whenever I've had a good cry, I felt 100 times better afterwards. So if anyone says that to you, do that, alright? Because they're talking rubbish. Anyway, I better end this video now. Alright then, I hope you enjoyed it despite uh, the talk about mental illness, but I think it's important to talk about it. And I know a lot of people do. Um, yeah, and don't judge me for being having a personality disorder. I'm not a criminal or anything like that. I'm not a psychopath. I've got emotions and I've got empathy as well. So don't worry. All right then. I'll see you soon, and I'll probably do a video before the end of this year. And I hope you all had a nice Christmas, even though it was shitty. All right then. Bye.